Hi everyone and welcome back to Dreaming in Fibre. I am your host Sarah from sarastextilecrafts.com, the fibre deli for fibre addicts. So welcome, it is February, I think it's the 27th today. It's been quite a busy month here at HQ. I haven't done any shows. I'm about to start prep for my next one, so on production front it's been more about prepping for web orders and that kind of thing, and new stock, so we'll get into that a bit later on when I talk about the shop update, but first of all I thought I would go through some of my finished objects, and I'm really excited about this because both of these things are kind of milestones for me. So I'm going to start with the first one, and these are my autumn socks. The yarn and details are all on my Ravelry page on Sarah's Texture Craft over there. I forget off the top of my head the name of the company, but it was a German company where I bought this hand-dyed India yarn. I'm using the Knit Pro sock blockers, which I stock at sarastextilecrafts.com, to show them off. But I just wanted to show you these. These are the second pair of socks that I've made for myself, and they are the first pair that fit like gloves. If you remember the very first pair that I did for myself, I ended up giving to Darren because they were so big that I had made them for a size 10 men's foot. So we tried again, and my second pair was a pair that ended up being my bed socks. They were just a little bit too loose, and now of course I have perfected it once more. I just went down a needle size for this, so originally I think I was using a 3mm, and for this this particular pair I used 2.5mm, and as you can see, one pair of socks. So I'm really thrilled with that. A couple of things I would like to kind of address for next time is, and I think this was purely from watching TV, because this is my real TV knitting, and I can't remember what we were watching, but it was obviously something that caused me a little bit of anxiety, because I don't know whether you can see around there, but there are slight tension issues that have caused me hole, and on the other side it's worse, and that's not only where I've picked up the stitches, but also where I have knit in the round, where I've been magic looping. So it's a tension issue on that magic loop line, which you can kind of see. I'm not too worried generally, because they are the first pair of socks that fit me, so I'm just looking forward to wearing these out and about, and I can't wait for the weather to change so that I can get my Crocs on and wear these so that everybody can see them. And I've already got myself an abundance of more yarn that I have dyed, and also that I've bought recently as well, that I'm going to make some full-length socks, and I've also decided to make some crop socks, so I'll probably make them to about there, so little anklets to wear with my Crocs. So I'm really looking forward to that. For something I said I would never knit, yeah, I eat my hat on that one, and I'm quite proud of them. So that's finished item number one. I'm going to hang these up here. There we go. Finished item number two. Really pleased. You remember last time I showed you I was knitting the Bracken cardigan. Are you ready? Here it is. I am really thrilled with it. This is my colourway Nightfall. So it's a mixture of pinkish tone reds and then a navy in there. The buttons are from an American company who I found on Etsy. I think they're called Divine Supply or something like that, but I will link to them in the show notes. I will link to the makers of said sock yarn in the show notes as well at dreaminginfibre.blogspot.com. But yes, this is me. I'm rather chuffed. A couple of things to sort of note about this, which is probably, I have to say, my own sort of amendments for next time, if you like. But this is the first time I've managed to knit a garment that has fit to as close as perfection as I intended. So I'm really chuffed with that. That's my big milestone with this one. The pattern was very well written. The only thing I would say, which is just something that I kind of realised, which I'll talk through in a minute when I talk about the things that I sort of had to change and had to take special notice of and care of, was things like the bind-offs for the armhole and the neckline in the front, because they're applied ribbing. It didn't enter my head, purely as I'm still quite a beginner in terms of garment knitting. It didn't enter my head that a stretchy bind-off would be better than a standard bind-off, so I had to rip that out and do that again, but I will talk about that in a second. So it's just really just a kind of general thing, and I guess this goes for me for the patterns that I design as well. It's probably a good idea not just to say cast off or bind off stitches, but to maybe recommend the perfect type of bind off for that particular garment, because it would save people like me who haven't got the experience from doing it maybe 2 or 3 times. So that was the only thing. Other than that, I would say it's a good pattern, and I would say it's probably a good go-to pattern as a basic shape as well. So that's written by Katia Frankel, and I really recommend that, so do look out for that on Ravelry. I can't remember if it was a free or a paid for pattern, but yeah, definitely worth a go. You can also find out more about Katia Frankel at bingeknitter.blogspot. Try that again. bingeknitter.blogspot.com. Okay, so let me talk about my knitting of said garment. I started off with, sorry, the light is quite bad, 4 skeins, and this is in a limited edition base that I had, which was a Romney silk base. Not purely next to the skin knitting material, but great for this type of thing that's going to be an overgarment. And as you can see, I've got 1 and about a half skeins left. So I'm really pleased with that, because it means obviously I've got more yarn to knit with. And it also means, excuse me reaching, that it gives me an idea for when I knit other things, of kind of being able to gauge that sort of yarn amount that I need. Okay, so if we start, my first you start off knitting at the bottom, and it's this bit's all in one. So for me, I'm a UK size 14, but my bust is probably more of a 16, to be honest, so I had to size up, hence why I've got space here. And I have kind of over blocked this, I think, which I'm hoping will relax a bit when I wash it after wearing it. So because obviously I've got a bigger bust, my waist usually tends to be slightly bigger on these garments, but actually that's okay, because I intend to wear this with a shirt, so I'm not too worried about that. A correction for me for the next time is number 1, the shaping. When I did my shaping, you can kind of see it there, but on certain sides, and I think it's that side, I've actually got a little hole there, so I think I need to find a new way of making those shaping marks. I also have it, and I think I've got it there, you can just see, just where my finger is there, there's a hole there from picking up the stitches. Again, I'm not really used to picking up stitches on things, and that's the only hole I've got for that, so I'm quite proud of that. But that's something I need to get better at for the future. I think the back looks okay. The other thing that I need to remember just for the future is pitch line. Because my bust is more full than the model, because she's a real slimline body figure, I need to bear in mind that the front will always ride up slightly, so that pitch line is slightly off. Now you have to remember here that I worked in fashion, and so part of my fashion design job was to be garment technician as well, and to inform production on how to produce the designs that I came up with. So I get quite anally attentive about certain details. So you're probably thinking I'm being quite picky, but this is just the way my mind works. If I look at garments, if I'm trying them on, as if I were trying them on because I wanted to sell them, put them into production, mass production for the shops and things like that, or for catwalks and so on. So I'm a bit picky about these tiny details, but I don't think that's a bad thing, because hopefully it will mean in the end, once I get a bit more advanced at knitting, I will become hopefully a bit more accomplished at finishing and work out really what works for me. That's the key to this. The other thing about the applied ribbings, I was fine with the front except for I don't know whether you can see it really, but you see this line sort of curves quite nicely, whereas this line goes a little bit straighter. I tried to correct that in blocking, but actually I think it's about more about where I picked up the stitches. So I must have picked up less stitches here and more stitches there, so I was able to really curve this during blocking, and this therefore feels just a little bit overstretched. I don't think people are going to really notice it, to be honest, but it's one of those things I will look out for in the future. The armholes, I did those, did I do those before or after? I think I might have done the armholes first actually before I picked up around the neckline, and I'll show you on this side. The armhole binding, you can see, looks almost half the size of this, and it pretty much is half the size when it should be the same width as this. The reason being is I bound off first and I wove in all my ends, and then I tried it on, and what happened, because I didn't use a stretchy bind off, is that this armpit became skewed and it was all up here, and you know, it was making the body look really short and horrible, and I hated it at that point. I thought, oh my god, I've done all this knitting and I hate it. So I thought, well, I'll rip that out and just try a stretchy bind off and see if that makes any difference at all. So of course I've done that, and this stretchy bind off, I used Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off, the video I will link to on YouTube. But you can see it's probably slightly almost too stretchy, because it's not pulling it in enough at the back. I mean, obviously as I stand up it fits fine, but you know, leaning forward or anything like that, and I know that's a really anal thing, but it wasn't quite the perfect bind off. I mean, it certainly works now because everything fits much better generally, but I need to probably invest in that book, the one that I've seen quite a few people talking about, that's all to do with different cast-ons and cast-offs, and that'll probably inform my knitting quite nicely, I would have thought. But generally really pleased. It's really nice to be able to wear something that's in my colours, that's a garment that I know I will be comfortable wearing at shows. So yes, I'm really, really pleased, which of course meant that I really quickly decided to cast on for my second garment. So let's get into what I'm working on. I'm going to, why don't we start with that, seeing as I mentioned it. Sorry for leaning. It's one of those days where I've got loads to tell you and not quite enough room to put it all nicely in front of me. So this pattern is, I think it's called Gilet Courte d'été or something like that, and of course my French is appalling. But it's Gilet, the Court of Summer or something. Anyway, I will insert a picture of what it should look like here. And as you can see, I'm using again my own hand-dyed yarn. This is colour tourmaline. Doesn't look great on the needles at the moment because it's kind of bunched up. But I did try it on and it fits really nicely. It's a top-down, really easy, intuitive pattern. As soon as I've finished, it's a free pattern as well. So what's more to say about that? It's fantastic. But it's really well written. I think, again, as a base pattern, it's, in terms of shaping and the way that it's constructed, I think it's going to be easily adaptable. So it could be quite easily one of those go-to patterns for me that I come back and just fiddle with. I'm not going to make too many modifications, I don't think, on this first one, but as you can see, I've got so far. I'm not knitting it in the correct weight yarn. The yarn should have been an Aran, but I've got DK. I wanted to use my yarn again, and that's what I had enough of to make the quantity, so I had to do a bit of maths, but yeah, it's coming on nicely. And again, because it's such a simple pattern and the increase area for the sleeves is just so easy to memorise, it means I can watch the TV while I'm working on it. So this has got quite a lot of work done on that. This is also part of my spring challenge over on the Sara's Texture Craft Ravelry board. So come and join in. We've got until April, the beginning of April, to knit something that inspires us about spring. What else do I have to say about this? Nothing really, other than I'm really enjoying it, and I was very certain that I wanted to cast this on the moment I got this waistcoat blocking. So again, I'm pleased with that, and I'm hoping that this means much more garment knitting in my future, so watch out for that. The next thing I've got, of course, is another pair of socks. Yeah, I got the bug. I got the bug. So I've finished one pair. These are quite big, as you can see. I haven't woven in any ends. These are Darren's socks. I think the yarn is by the same supplier. Have I got the skein ball band? No, I've lost that. I will put that in the show notes. Again, it was a German company that I bought from, and I've called these Winter is Coming, just because that bright blue and purple reminds me of the eyes of the White Walkers. So I've just cast on for the second sock literally last night. These, I got Darren to try them on, because obviously he's got his first pair of bed socks, but I wanted to get a better fitting pair so that he could have a pair of everyday socks as well, and these fit him perfectly. So I've nailed both of those patterns, which is fantastic. And the other good thing about nailing the pattern for myself is that my mum certainly shares the same size foot as me, as does my sister. So my mum's tried them on, so it means she could now be a giftee of a pair of socks. Because I know that for the amount of sock yarn that I've purchased recently, I'm going to need to start gifting, because there's going to be no way I can wear all the socks, you know, but I kind of want to knit all the socks. So I've got that working, and those are kind of my only active knitting projects at the moment, just purely because the other thing that's really struck my fancy this month is getting back to spinning. So I'll show you what I've been doing. I've got one finished skein. This is my colour Embers on Dorset Horn. So the You've got a mix of sort of orangey reds that merge into these sort of burgundy reds, and then smoky greys to blacks that pop through the skein. That's 100 grams there. I'm not sure on yardage. I don't usually tend to worry about measuring my hand spun until I have an urge to knit it, really. Purely because at this stage my spinning is more about the pleasure of spinning rather than saying, right, okay, that's for a particular project. Having said that, my second spinning project, which is not finished but still on the wheel, as it were, is, and I'm sorry for crinkling, I have this ball of finger roving that I've had for a while, that I kept back from shows, and I hand dyed it in my colour Bohemia, so it's got lots of it's almost a dual toned rainbow, and this is on a merino silk. And I apologise, it looks like a mess at the moment because I've been furiously tearing at it. So I've got one bobbin so far. You can see those white spaces work quite nicely. I've got a bit of barber poling in those singles, but that's come up quite lovely. That's, I would say, a fingering weight single. And I asked some friends on Instagram what they thought I should ply this against, and again, excuse the crinkling, I've decided on this. This is my straight from the Tops Farms. You remember? Straight from the Tops Farm? Straight from the farm tops. I can talk today, honestly. If you remember, I picked up loads of fleece last year, different breeds, and I've been slowly getting each of them processed. They are now back, and slowly getting onto the website as and when I can photograph them. So this is a light grey Ryland, and it's spinning up. It's spinning up to lace, basically, so it will be a finer weight than this, definitely. So I can do one of two things, because I'll obviously get more yardage from this. I was thinking that I could maybe do a 3-ply, or I might just leave it as a 2-ply and just see how it goes, but that will go against that. So we'll get some nice colour gradiating effects against that grey, and I think that's going to be really nice. So I've been really enjoying that. I've got about 250 grams in total of this colour, and I've got the same of this, so it's definitely enough to be able to do a garment for myself of some kind, but what at the moment I'm not entirely sure. So if you've got any ideas, then do either earburn me on Ravelry or PM me, or you can join in the spring thread on the Ravelry group, and under my pictures, because I'm going to post this as something that I'm working on for spring as well, you can leave me a message there, again at the show notes at dreamingandfibre.blogspot.com, and just give me a heads up on what you think I should knit with this. Obviously yardage will be a factor, but I think I'm going to certainly have more than enough to do a gilet or a waistcoat. So that's what I'm currently got on the wheel. Something else I've kind of finished that's been on the wheel, and I apologise for the crinkling, but this is my colour Tour, and it is based on Shetland, and as you can see I have put random coils in it, so this is a bit of an art yarn. You've got, against that beautiful grey of the Shetland, you've got slight green and then these sort of red areas, so it looks like quite an industrial looking yarn. And I've probably got almost about 200 grams of this, again not sure on the yardage. But I wanted to do something like maybe a big cowl or something, just something that really shows off these little coils. I can show you yeah, you see, little coils, and I've got some really long coily auto wrap bits as well. What I was thinking of doing with these was, I've got some, because the name of the Fibre is, the colourway is Tour, I wanted to have really earthy things, so I was thinking of, as I was knitting in these little tiny bone beads. Just so, you probably can't place it properly, but to have these sort of appear every so often, almost maybe against a coil or something like that, and I could attach them with maybe some metallic threads that I've got. So I've got that sort of coppery, dark coppery one, or I've got a goldy one. Not entirely sure how that's going to work, but in my mind that could be quite interesting. So look out for that one. I wanted to do something a bit sort of arty, but wasn't really out there necessarily in colour, so I think that'll work out quite nicely. That sort of quite earthy industrial feel could lend itself quite nicely to a really big cowl, or almost like a small capelet or something that I could wear on the stall. So again, if you've got any ideas, if you've seen any patterns, then give me a shout. The next thing I was working on, and this kind of crosses over into shop update, I sent out the first pack of Fibre Club 4. So if you are a member and you haven't received your pack for any reason because you're an overseas customer, more than likely, because I think pretty much all of the UK customers have got theirs now, then please look away, because I'm about to show you the details of the first colourway. So my first colourway was inspired by hydrangeas, and I'm going to put that colourway in here. So as you could see from that, I ended up with these. I apologise for the light has changed, purely because it's a bit rainy today. It's typical, isn't it? It was really sunny and absolutely beautiful yesterday, and today I choose to podcast and it is dank and horrible again. Sick of it. But yeah, we've got this lovely variegated colour with white bits as well. And I thought that was quite important because the flowers on the hydrangea, as you know, change and can individually be different from each other and quite mottled. And so this was quite important that I had that really coming through on the fibre. What I also did was to, you know, sort of go on a stage further from that, if you like, and make some little samples. So this is the colourway spun into a single, which I will knit up at some point soon, and then this is the colourway in a basic 2-ply. So you can see the difference in how they look up spun in different yarns, how those colours work and play together. But also when I knit the samples, which hopefully I'll be able to show you next month, you will be able to see how those different yarns will knit up as well. So hopefully that will give you a bit more of an idea of how those colours work and how you can use them to maximise your project's potential. So that was the first thing I worked on this month, and that was quite quite a lot of work actually, because I've had quite a few new entries to the Fibre Club this year. It far exceeded what I thought January would bring, because I thought, you know, because it sort of opened up before Christmas and finished at the end of January, the openings for the spots, I really thought that I wouldn't get a huge amount of uptake, because it's quite tight for people in terms of budget that time of year. But really pleasantly surprised, so thank you so much for taking part, and I really hope that you enjoy everything that you've received and that you will receive, because we've got 2 more packs left to go. I also wanted to quickly mention that Fibre Club 5, the listing is up. You can pop in your email for the email alert system to notify you when I put those spots up for sale. All of the dates are on the listing, so please look at those. I think they open in early May. Coinciding with that will be Yarn Club, so you have a choice of whether you want yarn or fibre this year. Essentially, I aim to do the same colour in Fibre Club and Yarn Club, but it really depends on how my design and development goes. If it works out that the colour I really want to do for fibre doesn't quite work on yarn, then I will, you know, change my mind and come up with something different for the Yarn Club. But I thought I would mention that, because I've had a few people asking me if I would start to do yarn clubs, certainly now that I've got Craft for Crafters out of the way and have far exceeded the existing colourways that I've got. So with that, I probably should show you some images from the shop updates. So I'm going to insert those here. As you can see, it was quite a prolific month in terms of shop updates. Some of this was what was left over from Craft for Crafters, and some of it is new stuff as well. So there's plenty to see. There's lots of hand-dyed tops, including never released on the website colourways. That's because they were previous club colourways that are now due for release. So there's some new stuff for you there. I've also got some new semi-solid colourways as well. In terms of yarn, there's much more in terms of the variegated and also the semi-solid colourways. And there are still some colours that I sold out of at Craft for Crafters that I've yet to dye up and pop on. So there will be a future update that will include those as well. Straight from the farm tops, these have been really well received throughout the month, so thank you very much. I have Gotland Hebridean Cross, I've got Manx Lockton, I've got Ryland, which is due to go on, and Klin, which is due to go on. I've got Jacob in various colours. What else have I got? I've got Wensleydale, which is due to go on, Zwarbles, which is on. I've got Hebridean on its own, which is on, and possibly a couple of others which are due to go on as well. All of them, I have to say, in my own tests, although I've called them tops, they really are probably closer to a roving in terms of preparation. So for me, for my own spinning, they spin to lace very easily. Although I'm not hugely accomplished with spinning roving myself, I tend to get a more textural finish, but certainly yeah, they're going to make some really interesting yarns. The other thing to think about as well is using them in blending, because I'm starting to use some of them in creating bats for Wonderwall Wales, which I'm preparing for. Yeah, and they're coming up lovely, and I really implore you to just have a go. You can buy as little as 25 grams or in 100 gram lots, and of course as much as you like and as much as there is stock for. The one thing I will say about those is make sure you buy enough for your project or the project you have in mind, because once they are sold out, they are sold out. I do aim to have more made up this year for to put on the website, probably early next year. But of course, colour from fleeces vary from fleece to fleece. So even if I used the same animal year on year, you might find that their colorations will change slightly. So make sure that you buy everything you need in one go. That way, when you come back, you can't be disappointed that there is a slight difference in the colour, even if I've called it the same Ryland light grey. It might be slightly different in shading. The other things I wanted to talk about were my fibre kits and the deluxe spindle kits. They are all on the website. They're going very well. I've sold quite a few of those already, but there are still some left. These are really, well, they're not just aimed at beginners, they're aimed at people who enjoy spinning, particularly for the spindle kit, but also felt making and embellishing for the fibre kits. For the luxury fibre boxes, and it's just really a way of me being able to select maybe colours that work together or different preparations of fibres that give you the opportunity to try different things. So do look out for those. I do aim to have more of those. I'll probably produce more for Wonderwall Wales, and then whatever I come back with will immediately go on the website, and then I will start production again for the website thereafter that. I think I've probably got enough to cover me for the moment. What else was there to say from the shop updates? I think that might be it really. The best thing to do is to check out sarastexturecrafts.com, and I have a just arrived tab which is over on the left hand side of the screen. So check that out. If you're watching from the website, then it's below this video but to the left. So if you click on that, it will take you to a page on the website that will literally list everything that I've added, from them semi-solid colourways that I've shown you to the variegated, to those fibre boxes, the straight from the farm tops, and all of that fun stuff as well. So do check that out. I think that's probably it in terms of shop update. Don't have anything else to say really. I had some good news in terms of shows. I've been accepted, as I say, to Wonderwall Wales, also to Fibre East, which is coming up in July. I'm going to do a couple of embroiderers guilds, different guilds, events. I think the first one is May the 10th. That's close to members, but it will be quite nice for me to be able to show my product to a new and different area of customer as well, so I'm looking forward to that. I heard from the Somerset Guild for their Fleece Day, which is in June, so it looks like I shall be attending that, which I'm really happy about. Yeah, and just generally it's just been a really nice positive month. So thank you to everybody who's been shopping with me at sarastexturecrafts.com, and if you've got any questions about projects or products, then you just give me a shout over there via the contact form. I'm looking around and I'm thinking I'm sure there was something else to say, because I'm seeing the timer and it's 39 minutes. This is not me, guys. Normally I go on and on for about an hour. And I can't think of what else to say. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. Next month I aim to be in deep production for Wonderwall Wales, because I want to have a really huge amount of stock in terms of bats and hand dyeing as well. I've got my first fleeces on the wash for this year, so there will be some hand dyed curls and things coming our way. So I guess until next time. Oh, don't forget the giveaway that I've got. If you go to sarastexturecrafts.com, you can enter a competition to win a skein of yarn, which is in my colour Dartmoor. So do feel free to join in that. Everybody's welcome. I think there's nearly 600 entries already, but always room for a few more, right? And don't forget to sign up to the newsletter as well, because every newsletter sign up will get a special something. So check that out, and that's it. Patch is I know where she is. She has taken to sneaking off to bed, and by that I don't mean her bed. I mean when she thinks I'm working in the stock room, or if I'm dyeing stuff out the back, she nips up the stairs and climbs onto our bed and curls up in Darren's pyjamas. So I bet that's where she is. So I'll leave you with a couple of pictures of her. She's doing really well this month. Thank you to everybody who asked about her month on month. She is the light of my life and makes me smile so much. So with that, I think it's time that I stop blathering and sign off, and leave you to hopefully a bright and sunny start to our spring. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Until next time, dream in fibre. Cheers.